Welcome to our online training dealing with student and staff information privacy within Rio Rancho Public Schools. We all deal with many different pieces of information each day, and most of it is about the children we teach and serve. A good amount of this information needs to be shared among professionals, but we must all exercise professional caution in this because there are strict rules about how and when information is allowed to be shared. This training will address these issues and provide a short quiz at the end to reinforce what you have learned. Today's training explains the rights and responsibilities of Rio Rancho Public School District personnel, including volunteers and non-RRPS personnel working in the schools, and students and parents with respect to safeguarding information and protecting student privacy. The complete Privacy Matters brochure can be found and referenced anytime on our intranet. In the course of this training, we will cover the following topics: safeguarding student information, what is student information, who has access to student information, how is student information used, how to protect student information, what are release regulations, parent and student rights and responsibilities. Student scholastic records are official and confidential documents protected by privacy protection laws. Under no circumstances should confidential information be the topic of conversation in a public area. Federal law protects the privacy of student information through the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, otherwise known as FERPA, one of our nation's strongest privacy protection laws. Within Rio Rancho Public Schools, school board policies and administrative procedures implement federal and state mandates to protect all kinds of student information. Failure to safeguard student information may result in disciplinary or legal action. What is student information? All data maintained on an individual student, whether automated or manual, constitutes the student's official student record. The content of the student record is limited to that information necessary to assist the student in educational, personal, and social development, and in career and technical development and placement. The following types of records are kept in cumulative record folders: identification information, including name, sex, race, birthplace, and birth date, family data, medical health records and emergency medical information, attendance records, scholastic records, standardized test scores, records of interest, activities, and honors, records of educational or vocational plans, teacher and/or counselor evaluations if shared with anyone else, discipline records, and other education records kept by individual school units. Directory information. The schools may disclose directory information about a student without the consent of either the eligible student, who is age 18 or above, or the parent, unless the parent or student has objected to the release by delivering a written objection to the principal and states which disclosures are objectionable. Directory information includes the student's name, grade in school, name of student school, eligibility and participation in officially recognized activities, including, but not limited to, fine arts exhibits, performing arts programs, other performances, graduation programs, and sports events. It also includes weight and height of members of athletic teams, honors and awards received, yearbooks, and identification in visual media, including photographs, videotapes, and digital images depicting school programs or activities. The student record contains student and family information, which must remain confidential in all means of communication, verbal, electronic, and printed. Any information heard or acquired about a student while working in a school or assisting at school activities is confidential. Any personally identifiable information must never be disclosed with friends, neighbors, or family. So, who has access to student information? Parents and eligible students, those who are 18 years of age or older, or attend a school beyond the high school level, have the right to inspect and review all records that contain information relating directly to their children or to themselves and that are maintained by RRPS. RRPS school officials, employees, and school board members may have access to specific student records only if they have a legitimate educational interest and a bona fide need. Therefore, within a school, administrators, teachers, counselors, substitute personnel, and support staff may have access to selected student information on a need-to-know basis. Confidentiality must be safeguarded by every person accessing any student information, whether that person is a Rio Rancho Public School employee or a member of an outside organization contracted by Rio Rancho Public Schools. Consider the following scenario. An assistant principal or secretary has student cumulative folders on her desk. The staff member is suddenly summoned away from the office and leaves the files on the desk, accessible to anyone entering the office. The staff member should put the files away before leaving or lock her office door. All school personnel with access to student information must safeguard that information at all times. Staff members accessing student records must be vigilant about maintaining the confidentiality of these records. How is student information used? A legitimate educational interest is defined as an assigned responsibility relating directly to a student's instruction, placement in grade, class, or special program, discipline, assessment of aptitude and/or achievement, counseling, guidance, and the clerical and administrative oversight and supportive tasks necessary to carry out these responsibilities. Therefore, student information must not be accessed or used for any other purpose, nor must student information be used by someone else without a legitimate educational interest in the student. Consider the following conversation between two staff members in a school hallway.
Did you hear about Natasha? I overheard the health technician speaking to her mother on the telephone. She's taken Ritalin.
I always knew that kid was hyperactive. So, how can we protect student information in the course of our day? Student information must not be shared with individuals who do not need to know the information. Student information must not be the topic of social conversations or gossip. Employees must be cautious about the inadvertent release of student information. Staff should be extra careful to shred outdated documents that contain sensitive student information. Let's explore one example of how to protect student information. All telephone conversations involving student information must be conducted privately. Professional colleagues may overhear private student information in the workplace. Information learned inadvertently must be guarded in the same way that one would guard information accessed for educational purposes. If you need to release information, what rules should you follow? Generally, schools must have written permission from the parent or eligible student in order to release any information from a student's educational record. This written consent must be maintained in the student record. Records may be released without consent to teachers and school officials who work with students, or to officials of other educational institutions where the student seeks or intends to enroll. Schools may also disclose information from student records without the consent of parents only in accordance with board policy. For example, information from a student's record may be released without consent in compliance with a judicial order upon condition that a reasonable effort is made to notify the parents and the student of all such orders. Directory information may be released without consent. However, parents or eligible students have the right to prohibit the release of directory information, especially in reference to the military, because school districts are required to provide names, addresses, and telephone numbers to military recruiters unless specifically requested by parents or eligible students in writing that the information may not be released. A recording of access or disclosure must be maintained in the student's cumulative record if someone other than school officials has accessed the record. Also, schools must notify parents and eligible students annually of their rights under FERPA. Please refer to RRPS Board Policies 326 and 327 for specific information on directory information. Consider the following scenario. A parent calls the guidance office to request that a transcript of his or her child's work be sent to a college to which the student is applying. The guidance secretary informs the parents that the release request must be in writing or on a release form, either of which must be signed by the parent. This is correct procedure. Most releases of student information require the consent of the parent or eligible student. Of course, parents and eligible students have rights and responsibilities as well. Parents and eligible students have the right to inspect and review student records for accuracy. The parent having legal custody may also request that a student record be amended. Students may also disclose records to the parents of an eligible student over 18 or attending a post-secondary school without the eligible student's consent in situations that involve the safety or health of the student. Parents and eligible students have the right to prohibit the release of directory information. A parent or eligible student must notify the school principal by delivering a written objection stating which disclosures are objectionable. Upon request, the school shall supply a copy of records released to the parent or to the student who gave the consent. Protecting staff information is equally important in our district. The responsibility to protect staff information is stipulated in federal and state laws and in the Rio Rancho Public Schools policies and procedures. Administrative and staff activities such as training, hiring, transfers, recommendations, form completion, IEP meetings, disciplinary actions, employee union activities, board meetings, etc. are all activities that require exercising caution with sensitive staff information. We've presented a lot of information about student information. Let's do a quick review to summarize what we've covered. Know your responsibilities. No one may access confidential student information without a legitimate educational need for that information. All student information must be used to further the educational needs of a student. Student information must be released only in accordance to Rio Rancho Public School Board policy, procedures, and guidelines. Be a part of the solution. Keep all student information as you would wish your own private information to be safeguarded. Be especially cautious about the inadvertent release of student information, verbal, electronic, or printed. Abide by the law and be professional. FERPA is the federal law that protects the privacy of student information. A vital component of professionalism includes maintaining confidentiality of student information. Failure to safeguard student information may result in disciplinary or legal action.